Hey guys, some charts indicate that altcoins will rise soon in July. Last week showed that a 200% growth of $1 billion token in a couple of days is very real. Should we wait for the altcoins pump? And which 3 tokens have the best chance for growth this summer? Let's figure it out now. In the past week, some altcoins have surged by 100 and even 200%. So in this video, I'm going to break down whether we should expect a rapid growth of altcoins and which 3 altcoins have the most growth potential already this summer. By the way, one of the fastest growing tokens last week is Bitcoin Cash, which I made a video about when it was trading at $130. Now it's worth $300. So if you don't want to miss out on interesting coins, I suggest you subscribe to the Coin Post channel. Let's start with a very important chart that directly shows when it is worth investing in altcoins and when it is better to wait. This is the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio chart. As you know, the altcoin season begins when liquidity from Bitcoin starts to flow over into Ethereum. That is, the ETC-BTC chart begins to rise gradually. Right now, we are seeing a local strengthening of Ethereum against Bitcoin. Most likely, next month, many altcoins will start to grow stronger than Bitcoin. But does it mean that the altcoin season is about to begin? I think it's too early to tell. In the last video, I marked the 0.05 zone as the level where the alt season could start. It is still far away, so there could be a local pump in a particular group of altcoins, but not the entire market. A logical question arises. Which group of altcoins can rise the most this summer and why? Let's figure it out now. The bitter enemy of the entire crypto market, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, said in a lawsuit against Binance and Coinbase that Bitcoin and Ether are a commodity, not a security. This means that both assets are highly unlikely to be regulated, unlike the rest of the market. But there are 3 other assets that are derived from Bitcoin and technically can be considered commodities as well. And hence, large funds will be interested in buying crypto assets that won't be declared a security tomorrow and arrested. What are these tokens and how to make money on them? You will find out in the next part of the video. Let's start out with a well-known asset that I analyzed in my recent video. It is Bitcoin Cash. This project was born after the Bitcoin blockchain was split into 2 branches. One of them was Bitcoin, and the second one, Bitcoin Cash. Therefore, in fact, it can be considered a commodity rather than a security. Moving on to the charts. A week ago, I said that BCH was in a good accumulation zone, from which it could skyrocket and reach the price of $300. It did, but what should we expect now? In the current market, after a sharp rise, there usually comes a correction or a sideways trend trade. A similar scenario was with AI-related tokens such as Singularity or the Graph. So in the current situation, it is dangerous to invest in BCH for 2 reasons. First of all, the short-term price is in the distribution area, where big players who bought a token for $100 now sell it to you at 3 times the price. Second, if you pay attention to the Bitcoin Cash chart, you will notice how after every strong price spike, there was the same sharp correction and pullback. I think the current case is not an exception. Be careful. You should also understand that BCH is a very manipulative asset. It is only remembered when the token goes up. Just ask yourself a question. Are you interested in Bitcoin Cash because of the technology or because of the earning possibilities? I think the question is rhetorical. Look at the global trend of BCH. Each successive top is lower than the previous one. In fact, the global trend is downtrending. And I have reason to believe that the next peak of this asset will be around $500 to $600, its maximum. Of course, for those who bought the token at $100, this is a huge profit. But if you are thinking about buying now, think twice. In the meantime, I will give you another interesting chart. Here's the chart of Bitcoin Cash versus real Bitcoin. As you can see, the rate tends to zero, and every year BCH is losing its value against BTC. So even in terms of this chart, it does not make sense to invest in Bitcoin Cash unless you are a speculator or trader. And for those who are afraid of missing out on profits and looking for opportunities to earn on the local alt season, I prepared two very interesting projects. Hit the like button if you are waiting for the alt season. Let's see how many of us there are. In today's video, we are going to take apart the whole family of Bitcoins, which, surprisingly, are more than one or two. We go straight to the Bitcoin Satoshi vision, or simply SV. Bitcoin SV came about as the result of the 2018 Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Let me make it simple. First, there was one Bitcoin network, which then split into two, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And then the second one split into two more, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. Think of it as a tree, where Bitcoin is the main trunk and all the forks are its branches. I think that makes more sense. Basically, all these Bitcoin came from the same network, and therefore have the right to be called a commodity, as well as not to be regulated by the SEC. The aim of creating BSV was to revive Satoshi Nakamoto's idea to make Bitcoin a P2P payment system. And for that, the blockchain must process thousands of transactions per second and be cheap. For comparison, a block of the original Bitcoin is 2 megabytes. Bitcoin Cash has a block of 32 megabytes, and Bitcoin SV has a value of up to 2 gigabytes. Imagine that a block is a box. The bigger the box, the more transactions can be transferred at a time. Bitcoin is a box for matches. Bitcoin SV is a shipping container. Do you understand the difference now? Let's move on to the BSV chart. In the last 2 weeks, the asset surged by 200%. And now the question is, will the growth continue further? If you look globally, BSV is at the bottom of the market and has the potential to grow by at least 600%. The capitalization of the asset is only $900 million. So in theory, such growth is possible, but we need better reasons for the pump. So far, the only reason for growth is the pump with the rest of Bitcoin, simply because the asset is indirectly related to real BTC. Like Bitcoin Cash, it is very speculative. It can grow once a year and then everyone forgets about it. But compared to BCH, Satoshi Vision has more growth potential. It is cheaper and easier to pump. So, are you ready for the most interesting and controversial asset in today's selection? Let's go! As you guessed, we're going to talk about another one Bitcoin fork named eCash with the XEC ticker. In simpler terms, eCash XEC is the native cryptocurrency of the software company Bitcoin ABC. eCash is the result of a fork of Bitcoin Cash. At the time, this fork was called Bitcoin Cash ABC, but in 2021, it was renamed to eCash. Here's a picture with a tree for you to make it clear so you don't get confused. I guess you have a question. Why so many forks? Well, people like to launch their own blockchains based on already working ones. So, in addition to being faster and cheaper than its competitors, eCash has 21 trillion coins, which is 1 million times more than Bitcoin. This is done in order not to endlessly divide Bitcoin into fractions, i.e. Satoshi. But that's not the point. Like all Bitcoin forks, eCash also has the right to claim to be a commodity, not a security, which means that in theory, it can attract investors' interest. Now, on to the charts. eCash does not inspire confidence because it is always falling, although this is not a problem. Occasionally, this token surges 100 to 150% just like that, and then fades quickly and continues to decline. I don't know what will happen this time, but right now, Bitcoin forks have a huge chance to outperform the market. So keep an eye on all three assets this summer. It's going to be hot. Guys, share in the comments which Bitcoin you think is the most promising investment and why. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the surge of the coins. Thanks for watching your Coin Post.